All right, what's going on, good people? I'm Pastor Brandon coming to you live again, and I've got another touch point with Turning Point for you. And this time I'm talking about premarital counseling, premarital understanding. So how do we know when we're ready to get married? How do we know when we're with the right person, or we're ready to be with the right person, or we're ready to cross that broom and cross that line and go beyond where we are? So premarital counseling, I am one who advocates for premarital counseling. It is very, very important because, listen, marriage is very much a journey, more so than it is a stagnant thing, right? We oftentimes only look at the marriage or the wedding day, and then we forget that there's going to be a lifetime of learning that individual. You never stop learning your spouse. Anytime you find a place where you feel like I've learned everything that there's going to be about them, you come to a very dry place. You feel like you know everything about them. There's nothing exciting. The passion dries out. It burns out very quickly. But when you're a person, you're a go-getter, you're a driven person, there's something new about you. And I want to admonish even this fact that if there's nothing changing or nothing going about in your life that's new, I guarantee you, you aren't in the things of God. The things of God always make you transcend. They always make you become something new. You're always growing. You're always becoming mature. You're always developing. And if you aren't doing anything or any of those things, listen, I question whether or not you're following God, but that's neither here nor there. So we're talking about premarital counseling. I'm an advocate for it. And so I want to give you 5 different questions that will help you develop whether or not you're ready for this. And it comes out of 1 Corinthians 7, 8, and 9. 1 Corinthians 7, 8, and 9. It says, "But I say to the unmarried and to the widows, it is good for them if they remain even as I am." Paul is talking about it's good that you remain single even as I am, because the more that you're single, you can pay attention to the things of God. But one of the aspects that he misses is that when you are connection, or when you are in relationship and you do have that marriage, you automatically come into an agreement partner. So there's things that can happen for you just as if you were paying attention to God. You are living for God. You have an agreement partner, and there's power in your agreement. But watch this. It says, "But if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion." So what's Paul talking about? He says, listen, marriage is great, right? But there's things that you have to work on it with. Don't just leave it to chance. Don't just leave it to hope. I hope this marriage works out. But you put nothing towards it. If you're going to marry, there's a passion that comes with it. And I'm not just talking about passion as it pertains to the bedroom, although that's one of the many things or many great aspects of it. You don't have that burning conviction that you do when you're sleeping around with other people. But when you have marriage, marriage is such a beautiful thing when you come to understand it and you have the right people to help you manage it. So here's a couple of questions that will help you realize or help you think through whether or not you're ready for marriage. Number 1, are you willing to work at premarital education? See, oftentimes we forget that premarital education is just as important as maintaining the marriage itself. You have to go, listen, it doesn't mean that every time you have a problem is the only reason that you go see a counselor. Me and my wife, we go to a counselor just to do a marriage checkup, just to see where we are. Is there anything that we've left out on the table? Is there anything that we haven't said that we may need a mediator to be able to step in and help us? Listen, premarital education is very important. Get to know the person. The Bible says, know those who labor among you. It works in the same way with marriage. Know who it is that you're about to go on this journey with, right? Second question, are you willing to hear from your relational community? This is very important because your relational community, if you take that person to church, if you take that person out and about, if you take that person around your family, you have to be willing to hear the things that they're willing to hear. Don't always just try to fight just because you're in love, but they may be pointing out some red flags. They may be trying to save you from a lifetime of hurt, harm, and danger, of death, darkness, and decrease. They may be able to see things that you might be too smitten or blinded by, so that you have to be willing to allow other people to give you some pointers, give you some heads up, draw out those red flags and help you to see things that you're not going to be able to see because you're in it. Now, I'm not saying let them drive your relationship or drive your marriage. What I am saying is if they see something, use wisdom and say, listen, let me peep this, okay? Let me see what you're talking about. Gathering feedback isn't just about if you should marry your fiance or not. It can be about more general issues related to your relationship that you may not see. We all have blind spots. Question number 3, are you willing to look honestly at red flags? This is a huge one because a lot of times we try to just brush stuff off. Oh, he just gets angry every now and again. No, that's a red flag. Oh, every time he gets angry, he's watching the game and he just throws the remote and he leaves holes in the wall. He punches things. Listen, those are red flags. You need to pay attention to certain things. Do she want to work? Does he want to work? What's his 5-year plan? Does he have a 5-year plan? What does he think about children? Does he want children? All of these different things can be red flags. My wife is laughing at me. All of these things can be red flags, and you have to be willing to look honestly at the red flags. Stop just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna work with it." Stop trying to be the superhero or the hero of the saving grace of other people. If they got issues, be willing to be honest that you got issues. And until you get those fixed, maybe we need to call this marriage off. Let's just call a spade these days, because it will avoid you having to go back and be hurt and heartbroken and divorced and all of these different craziness that you're trying to do because you didn't want to be honest about the red flags that you see. Number 4, are you willing to be brutally honest about your own brokenness? Come on. You have to be brutally honest about your own brokenness, right? Sometimes there are issues in your own life that you need to deal with. There are certain things, maybe you're getting married because you don't want to be lonely. Well, that's an issue. You need to address some loneliness going on in your life. Maybe you want to get married because you can't stop having sex. That's not the problem solver, okay? Sex is not or marriage is not the problem solving issue for your situation. It's not going to drive out sex. Okay? It's not going to tame it, maybe for a little while, but if you have a problem with sleeping around, listen, marriage is not going to solve that issue. You have some deeper lying issues that you want to get fixed first before you say I do to whoever you do. Be willing to be open and honest about your own brokenness. I've got some things I need to deal with. Question number 5, are you ready for unconditional commitment? As you enter into marriage, you have a chance to write, rewrite, and edit your life script with purpose and intention. Okay? Go into marriage with intentions. Write it out. So in the Hebrew culture, actually, I forget the name of it, but I believe it's called a berit. A berit, it was a formal agreement. So the husband's family and the wife's family would come together at table and they would literally write out covenants. They would write out, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to fulfill. This is what you're going to do, what you're going to fulfill. And each family would come into agreement and say, if they fulfill these things, they will be happily married. But anytime they break what they said they were going to do, it's going to be a problem. Listen, we got to get back to that place where it's like we have unconditional commitments. Listen, we are committed to our commitments. We are all in. We're not just sometiming. We're not just straddling the fence. Listen, if you're going to go for it, go for it. The more information that you have, the more counseling that you have, the more education behind your decisions that you make is going to make it a whole lot easier. Let me put this out there. Me and my wife are actually certified Christian counselors. We are certified in this. So if you need help, or you're simply one who wants counseling or is seeking after trying to get married, thinking about getting married, and you just need some help, you need some education, we're here for you. So if you want that counseling, you can hit me up. You can go to brandonjwoodson@gmail.com, or you can message myself or my wife, and we'll be willing to sit down with you, set up a scheduled meeting with you, and try to see how we can work this thing out. Because I know, listen, marriage is a big deal. Relationships are a big deal. You want more education on it. So the more education that you have, the more confident you're going to feel towards it. So I admonish you for that premarital counseling. Well, anyway, I'm Pastor Brandon. I'm signing out with another touch point with Turning Point. And I hope that this blessed you. I hope that those 5 questions are things that are going to really stick with you and that you really admonish those questions as you go forward in life. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. If you need prayer, hit that number down at the bottom. Prayer is what we do. It's the core of who we are here at Turning Point Embassy. And also, if you're watching live via YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification. Be with us on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. for our Touchpoint Thursday Bible studies. It is phenomenal teaching. And also come join us live for church on Sundays at 1122 East 51st Street, right here in Austin, Texas. Again, I'm Pastor Brandon. I'm signing out with another Touch Point with Turning Point. God bless.